you have a situation where the people of Yah are being tested. The people of Yah are being tested in Isaiah 36. And brothers and sisters, as far as us, because we are, listen, we have to understand who we are. The more we know about who we are, the more solid and firm our foundation in truth will be. Did you hear what I'm saying? And what do I mean by that? As people who have never known who we were in terms of Israelite people, never known who we were, to know now who we are gives us great comfort, doesn't it? It gives us comfort. It gives us strength to know that we are the children of Israel that the Bible talks about. It gives us comfort and strength to know who we are. Okay? But it's even more than that. It's even more than that. I want to even bring it a step further. Not only are we the children of Israel that the Bible talks about, not only are we the children of Israel that the Bible talks about, we are the last generation of the children of Israel in this wicked age. We are the last generation of the children of Israel in this wicked age. Within 10 to 12 years, there'll be no more. That's it. That's it. Within 10 to 12 years, that's it. It's going to be over. So understanding that we are been chosen, you and I have been chosen to be alive at this time, brings upon us many things. One of the things it brings upon us is a privilege and an honor to be tested. To be tested. Let's take a look at Psalm. See which one I'm looking for here. Yeah. Psalm 139. Psalm 139. That's right. Psalm 139. Brothers and sisters, we have being that, listen, you have to really, and this is not, see, this is the difference between us, one of the many differences between us, listen, and all the other peoples on planet Earth. Listen to me now. We know who we are. We know why we're here, and we know what's getting ready to happen. We know who we are. We know why we're here, and we know what's getting ready to happen. Brothers and sisters, that's rare knowledge. I just said to you, rare. We know who we are. We are the children of Israel that the Bible talks about. We are the ones of the last generation that all the prophets prophesied about. All the prophets of Yah talked about. We're here. We have been chosen in this generation. What's coming? The end of this age, the return of the Messiah, the seal of his spirit of righteousness on us. That's what's coming. What else? Destruction, pestilence, violence, anger, wrath. That's here, right? And we see it even more. Every day we see it that. We know that's coming. More of that is coming. Plagues are coming. We know that. We're not ignorant to these things. And so, as these people that are here, it's not like we're going to just skip through this time with no test. You see, that's what happened to our fathers. In times past, our fathers, when they were taken out of the land of Egypt, were under the mistaken impression. After they came through the Red Sea on dry ground, and they got on the other side, and they sang the song of victory, how Pharaoh and his army were destroyed by the sea, and and Miriam was leading the band of the sisters, and they were singing, and the tribes of the nations of Israel were singing. They thought, okay, it's all over now. Let's just get right to the promised land. It's all over. They were wrong. And because of their example is come upon us, on whom the ends of the earth have come, we know why they were wrong. Why were they wrong? Because they needed to be prepared. They needed to be prepared. Prepared for what? Prepared to be citizens of a kingdom of righteousness. Having come out of Egypt, having been the bloodline of Jacob was not enough. No, you have to be prepared to be in the kingdom. They were given the laws. They were given the spirit in preparation. They were given training by the Most High. For what? How does it all begin? Listen carefully. If you don't remember nothing else from today, please listen to this. Listen carefully. Listen carefully. How does it all begin? Listen. Learning to trust your God. Learning to trust your God. Where it all begins. Where it all starts. That's how it starts. Learning to trust your God. Very simple, isn't it? It's very simple. That's where it starts. And all of the tests and all of the trials that come up after that are to strengthen your trust in your God. Strengthen your trust in his word, in his spirit, and to train you and prepare you to be a citizen of a kingdom of righteousness. Our fathers fought against it, rebelled against it, and that's why they were in the wilderness for what? 40 years. For 40 years. A journey that even on foot might have taken a month, with 1 million people, might have taken a month, maybe 2. 40 years. Because they refused to be tried and tested. And so he had the initial families that came out, the initial generation, they weren't going in. They failed the test of trust. The 12 spies failed the test. They failed it. They failed the test. He's not having that a second time. So what is he doing? He's continually putting us in positions to be tested, so that we can learn to trust our God, to trust Yah, to trust his son, his spirit, his word, and to be allowing ourselves to be trained to become citizens of a kingdom of righteousness, which we all want to be part of. Praise the Most High. Okay? And so the Bible continually, and then Isaiah 36 is an example of a exercise, a test to trust their God, our fathers, to trust their God. And we're going to see when we read that the northern kingdom had already failed and been scattered. Now he's testing the southern kingdom. He's testing them. Okay? He's testing us so that we can learn to trust him. To have what we read about in Isaiah earlier, chapter 30, verse 15. In returning and rest shall ye be saved. Quietness and confidence shall be your strength. He's looking for that from his chosen. Quiet confidence, repentance, and trust. He's looking for that. Goes all the way back, as we know, it goes all the way back to Adam. Adam failed the test of trust. Eve failed the test of trust. They failed it. He now demands that if we're going to be his people, we must learn to trust him. Therefore, on an individual level, you and I are going to be tested and are being tested and tried. So that by the time he's finished and he's the teacher, we're the student. You don't have to worry about failing this class. No. You don't have to worry about failing this class. You know why you can't fail this class? All you got to do is not skip class. If you don't skip school, you won't fail. You got to have perfect attendance. You got to show up. That's what he's looking for. Testing 1, 2, 3. He needs you to show up. Okay? You won't fail the class. He's the teacher. He's the master, Father, and through his, by extension, Messiah, master teacher of all teachers. So he when you were in his class, you are special because you're in the class with the greatest of all teachers. And he's not going to have you fail as long as you show up. You got to be there. You got to be there. You got to be willing. You got to be willing, right? So a teacher you ever had a class where a teacher will pass you just because you had perfect attendance? Yeah, I've had class like that. Teachers just wanted you to be there. If you were there every day, they passed you. Right? They gave you quizzes and tests, and you were there every time, and you didn't skip the class, they passed you. Fathers like that. The only thing is, this is a master teacher. And after a while, you not only will not want to skip the class, you want to be in that class because you'll know he's a master teacher. And you want to be there. Okay? And he's going to test you. He's going to give you quizzes all the time. And it's annoying, right? Every time they have a quiz, it's annoying. You know, you go to class and you just want to get through the class, right? And then all of a sudden he's like, okay, we got a quiz today. And you'd be like, oh man, a quiz. Sometimes it's a test, like a major test or a midterm. And you know what? In this particular situation we're in, we're going to have a final exam. Oh yes, he's going to get us a final exam. But that's right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. But up until the final exam, there's going to be a lot of pop quizzes. A lot of pop quizzes. Well, chapter 36 of Isaiah is a pop quiz for the Israelite people. And it's an example to us of our own pop quizzes that we are dealing with. Psalm 139. I'm going to read the whole psalm, but let's read it in pieces. Psalm 139, I'm going to begin at verse 1. Go down to verse 6. Psalm 139 from verses 1 to 6. It says, O Yahweh, thou hast searched me and known me. Thou knowest my down sitting and my uprising. Thou understandest my thought afar off. Thou compassest my path and my lying down, and art acquainted with all my ways. For there is not a word in my tongue, but lo, O Yahweh, thou knowest it altogether. Thou hast beset me behind and before, and laid thine hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is high. I cannot attain unto it. What is he talking about? Father knows us before we even know what we're thinking. He knows what we're going to think. Testing 1, 2, 3. Before we get ready, the thought that comes in my mind, he already knows what I'm getting ready to think. He not only knows what I'm getting ready to think, he knows what I'm going to do based on the thought. He understands before I even get to it. He knows me through and through. Okay? He knows every part of us. There's nothing hidden from him about us. That's why I could sit here and tell you how I would actually feel about something, though it might be right or wrong, because why am I going to front? Father knows how I feel. For what? Why am I fronting? Where am I fooling? I might fool you, but I can't fool him. That'd be stupid, right? And when you become his servant, you don't have to act like that with the Father. You don't have to act like that. He already knows, because he already knows. And now, as his servants in his classroom, his desire, his studied aim is to make sure you're prepared for your final exam so that you can pass. He wants you to pass the final exam. And so he's preparing you. He gives you all these pop quizzes. He just wants you to show up. Exactly. Exactly. When we understand he knows all about us, everything about us, there's no need in being dishonest about who we are. There's no need in trying to front. He already knows. And sometimes, brothers and sisters, It takes us a while to get through with the Father. Why? Because we're still being dishonest with ourselves. That's to hold us up. And he'll even bring tests and situations, circumstances to reveal ourselves to us. He understands our down sitting and our uprising. He understands it's our thought afar off. No need to front with the Father. You want truth. You got to be truthful. You want honest. You want to be honest. You got to be honest. You got to be real. You're in the final generation. You're the chosen people. He's preparing you for a tremendous test that's coming. And he's preparing you to be citizens in the kingdom of righteousness. You see, for our fathers, the final exam, when was the final exam? The final exam is when he sent the 12 spies into the land. That was the final exam. You guys knew that? When he brought them through the wilderness, after he prepared them, after he had them on Mount Sinai, gave them the covenant, final exam, send the 12 spies in there. 12 spies were going to see things. They were going to see all kinds of things, beautiful things and scary things. The 12 spies were going to see beautiful things and scary things. Will the 12 spies still believe that Yah could lead them in the promised land, though they saw giants in the land? Where they saw iron barred walls and giant cities guarded and armed people that were much bigger than them physically? Were they still going to believe that Yah could bring them through? Well, 2 of them did. And that's why they ended up going through 40 years later. Yahushua, Joshua, and Caleb. The rest of them did not. The rest of them wanted to stone Joshua and Caleb for even believing that. Because they failed the test. They failed the test. We're getting ready to get tested. Here's a bunch of pop quizzes in preparation, but we got to be real with the Father. Got to be real with his angel, who is Messiah. Got to be real with ourselves, with the truth. He already knows us. He knows what he's working with. See, don't judge yourself whether you can make it or not. That's not up to you. Did you hear what I said? It's not up to you and me to judge whether we can make it or not. That's not our job. Our job is to show up. That's our job. To show up. If he didn't want us in the class, we wouldn't be in there. He's a master teacher. He knows who his class. He knows who his students are. He knows all his students. He knows who they are. Okay? He knows who they are. So we just have to be there. Psalm 139 from verse 7. From verse 7 to verse 12. Psalm 139 from 7 to 12. Whither shall I go from thy spirit, or whither shall I flee from thy presence? If I ascend up into heaven, thou art there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, thou art there. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there shall thy hand lead me, and thy right hand shall hold me. If I say, surely the darkness shall cover me, even the night shall be light about me. Yea, the darkness hideth not from thee, but the night shineth as the day, and the darkness and the light are both alike to thee. Yes, he sees us all through and through. There's no place we can be, no place we can go where he doesn't know where we are. He's talking, and I'm talking to us as his chosen. We're not talking about everybody. We're not talking about everybody. I want to get that straight. We're talking about his chosen, the ones that are his, the ones that show up, that want to be in the class. He knows where you are, who you are. He knows some days you're going to feel discouraged. Isn't that correct? Some days you're going to say, how in the world am I going to pass this class? How in the world am I going to pass it? I'm so far behind. He knows that. He's still there with you. The master teacher knows what he's working with. He needs you to show up. Psalm 139 from verse 13 down to verse 18. From verse 13 to verse 18. Thou hast possessed my reins Thou hast covered me in my mother's womb. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well. My substance was not hid from thee when I was made in the secret, and the curiously wrought in the lowest part of the earth. Thine eyes did see my substance, yet being unperfect. And in thy book all my members were written, which in continuance were fashioned, when as yet there was none of them. How precious also are thy thoughts unto me, O Yah! How great is the sum of them! If I should count them, they are more in number than the sand. When I awake, I am still with thee. Praise the Most High. He knows us being yet unperfect, and he knows us and he sees us when we make perfection. He knows us as unperfect, and he sees past that and knows when we become perfect. He can see that already. Praise the Most High for the master teacher of the Most High Yah, the Father and his Son. Praise the Most High. Let's finish the chapter. Psalm 139 from verses 19 to verse 24. Surely thou wouldst slay the wicked, O Yah. Depart from me, therefore, ye bloody men. For they speak against thee wickedly, and thine enemies take thy name in vain. Do not I hate them, O Yahweh, that hate thee? And am not I grieved with those that rise up against thee? I hate them with perfect hatred. I count them mine enemies. Search me, O Yah, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts, and see if there be any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. Oh, yes, brothers and sisters, that's what the test is about. The word search means to examine. He's going to examine us. He's continually working with us and examining us. And he knows the day when we're prepared. The day we're prepared for the kingdom, he's going to know it. And examine and search, and he's going to say, this one is prepared. This one is prepared. Praise the Most High Yah. And it's going to happen as long as we stay in class. And we're continually going to be tested. One more scripture before we head over to Isaiah. Let's see, Job chapter 7. Yes, Job chapter 7. Job chapter 7, verse 17 and 18. Job chapter 7, verse 17 and 18. Notice what it says. What is man that thou shouldest magnify him, and that thou shouldest set thy heart upon him, and that thou shouldest visit him every morning and try him every moment? The psalmist say, search me, O Yah, and know my heart. Try me and know my thought. He asked to be tried. And this one said, why are we so important that you got to be trying us all the time? Joe said, why are we so important? What we got you having your attention? You always trying us. Because he knows where he's bringing us to. He knows what kingdom he's bringing us into. He knows it's a kingdom of righteousness. He knows what he's doing. He knows what we have to go through to get there. And he's preparing us. Praise the Most High Yah. Praise Most High Yah. So now we're in Isaiah 36, and here's a test for our fathers. A test similar that we're going to be dealing with, and that we've already dealt with on smaller scales. You see, brothers and sisters, it's just like anything else. He doesn't immediately put you in heavy test mode, far spiritually speaking. He starts you off in tests that you can pass easily, and he builds up off of that. Sometimes he puts a test on you that you're kind of surprised, and you're like, whoa, but he put it on you because he knows you can pass it. We must always remember we're dealing with a master teacher who makes no mistakes. I want to say that again. We must always remember we're dealing with a master teacher that makes no mistakes. Our Father makes no mistakes, ever. Before we sat down in the classroom, he already had our seat prepared for us. And he has our graduation robe already ready. He already knows he can get us through the class. We need to remember that. He never makes a mistake, and he knows who he's dealing with when he deals with you and he deals with me. So he brings tests. And here's one. Isaiah chapter 36. Let's start at verse 1. And let's go down to verse 6. Isaiah 36, 1 through 6. Now it came to pass in the 14th year of King Hezekiah that Sennacherib, king of Assyria, came up against all the defense cities of Judah and took them. And the king of Assyria sent Rabshakeh from Lachish to Jerusalem unto King Hezekiah with a great army. And he stood by the conduit of the upper pool in the highway of the fuller's field. Then came forth unto him Eliakim, Hilkiah's son, which was over the house, and Shebna the scribe, and Yoah, Asaph's son, the recorder. And Rabshakeh said unto them, Say ye now to Hezekiah, Thus saith the great king, the king of Assyria, What confidence is this wherein thou trustest? I say, sayest thou, but they are but vain words. I have counsel and strength for war. Now in whom dost thou trust, that thou rebellest against me? Lo, thou trusted in the staff of this broken reed on Egypt, whereupon if a man lean, it will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh king of Egypt to all that trust in him. So Rabshakeh came on behalf of the king of Assyria. At this time, Assyrians had already taken the northern tribes, and they took in cities already in Judah, but they were coming for Jerusalem, the capital. And he said, and remember, we were talking just a couple of chapters earlier how the Most High rebuked our fathers for putting their trust in Egypt for their deliverance, right? Okay. They were rebuked for putting their trust in Egypt, which, wait a minute, let's break that down real quick. They're rebuked for putting their trust in man and not in their God. They're rebuked for putting their trust in man and not in their God. So Assyria saw that they were putting their trust in Egypt and said, Oh, you trust in Egypt? They said, Egypt like a reed. You can't even put your weight on it. It's going to break and hurt you. That's what he was saying. Brothers and sisters, let me ask you a question. Testing 1, 2, 3. When we're feeling doubt, and it does come, our Satan is permitted to try to put doubt in our minds. He's allowed to do that. When we're feeling doubt, what should we do? When we're feeling doubt about ourselves, what should we do? That's right. We should go to the Father. That's right. Pray to the Father. That's right. Ask him for strength. Ask him for confirmation. Give me more. What else should you do? It's for his spirit. That's exactly right. You're correct. What else should we do? What else? Repent of what? You ain't doing nothing wrong, but yeah, go ahead, repent. But I'm just saying you're not doing anything wrong. You're just feeling doubt. But yeah, you can repent for the doubt. You can learn to trust, pray to the Father. That's right. But what else? Castro, you should type that. You should type that again in big letters. You should type that again in big letters. We need to trust his promises to us. Wait a minute. There you go. Wait a minute. We need to do what? We need to claim his promises. Because after all, what does this come down to? Do you believe him or don't you? Do you believe him or don't you? So therefore, we go to his word and we get his promises. We go to his word, we get his promises. I will not leave you nor forsake you. I'm going to guide you with mine eye. I'm going to make you partake of a divine nature. I sent my son to become sin that you might become my righteousness. Trust him. Go to his word. Because when you fortify your spirit with his word, doubt's going to disappear. It's going to come back. Asatan is in this thing for his life. Y'all need to understand that. You're not going to be left alone, okay? Just get used to that. I'm just trying to tell you. You're not going to be left alone. You're going to be continuing to get tried. Asatan is not giving up because this is for his very existence. He understands that. We don't always get it. He does. Believe me. He knows this is for his life. So he's not going to give up. He's going to keep coming at you. Don't start whining about that. Trust in Yah's word. Trust in the promises. You understand? Hang on firm. This is our problem. We're used to trusting in man. We're so used to trusting in man. That's our problem. That was Israelite. That's what Rav Shakeh came there and said, y'all trusting in Egypt? Y'all still you think Egypt gonna help you? Well, he didn't realize Hezekiah and them caught the memo and they wasn't trusting in Egypt. And this is a test as to whether they were or not. You and I get tested all the time. We're going to be tested all the time. That's why the day's got to come. There's got to be a day that comes. And it will, listen, that we can answer the way Messiah answered. Messiah is our example, brothers and sisters. He's our example. What did he say? He said, the prince of this world cometh and hath nothing in me. What does that mean? That means Asatan was continually trying to hit him, trying to bring stuff to his mind to bring doubt, and he was continually getting beat back, beat back, beat back. There was nothing in Messiah that can draw anything. There was nothing there. Messiah was so solidly, firmly trusted in his Father, there was nothing there. We are ordained to get to that point. We are ordained to get to that point. How do I know that? Because Messiah said, the works that I do, greater works than these shall ye do, because I go to the Father. That's what he said. So we are ordained to get to that point. So therefore, Asatan is going to be permitted to continually bother us. But it's got to get to the point where it doesn't bother us. When we're trusting Yah and believing not only in his promises, but also remembering what he's already done for us. Also remembering what he's already done for us. As evidence, we don't need to worry about what he's trying to annoy us with now. It's never going to go away, brothers and sisters, ever. Not until Asatan is dead. And he will be dead. He's going to go into the pit. There's no question. The Bible says it. He's going to go into the pit. Okay? Okay? And so, up until that time, it's going to be the road's going to be hard. It's not an easy road. It's not an easy road. What you think? You're going to just skip into Yah's kingdom with no trial, no tribulation? What you think? She's going to just take you just as you are and let you sit down at a table and not have learned righteousness? What you think? Come on now. You got to learn. We all got to learn. It's not easy. I'm sitting here with sores and swellings and all that because I got to learn. See? You too. What you think? It's just me? No, it's not just me. You got to learn too. I took my spanking. You got to take yours now. All of us do. All of us have to take it. So now, here's Sennacherib saying, what you think? You're going to trust in Egypt? Watch this now. Watch this. Because what happened, let's read a little bit more. Let's read a little bit more. Isaiah chapter 36. Isaiah chapter 36. Yeah, man. I done got me a beating. What you think? I'm gonna get my beating by myself and y'all ain't getting none? Yo, I got another thought for y'all. The strap is waiting for you too. All right. Let's start at verse 7. From verse 7, I'm going to read from verse 7 down to verse 10. Isaiah 36, from 7 to 10. But if thou say to me, we trust in Yahweh, our Most High, is it not he whose high places and whose altars Hezekiah had taken away and said to Judah and to Jerusalem, ye shall worship before this altar? Now therefore give pledges, I pray thee, to my master, the king of Assyria, and I will give thee 2,000 horses, if thou be able to, on thy part, set rioters on them. How then wilt thou turn away the face of one captain of the least of my master's servants, and put thy trust on Egypt for chariots and for horsemen? And am I now come up without Yahweh against this land to destroy it? Yahweh said to me, go up against this land and destroy it. So he lying now. But look, Hezekiah had administered some reforms. What do I mean by that? Well, before Hezekiah was king, the previous kings had started worshiping idols, worshiping other gods. Hezekiah came. Matter of fact, they were worshiping. You remember that serpent of brass that Moses was told to put on the stick? They were worshiping that. And Hezekiah called it Hashapatut or something like that. And he says, just a piece of brass. And he broke it in pieces. And he broke down all their idols. And he told them to come to the altar where Solomon's temple was to worship. He said, forget all these high places, all these false gods. He tore them all down. Now to Rabshakeh, who they heard about that, they are pagans. They are heathen. To them, Hezekiah was destroying their own gods. It's the same with us. What I mean by that? You start following the word, and people say, how come you don't go to church? Say, you must be a heathen. You don't go to church no more. Because they don't understand, because they're heathen. Rabshakeh didn't understand. He said, you tore down all the idols. You tore down all your gods. Who you got to protect you? He didn't understand. Hezekiah did that because their God is an invisible God. And they told him to come worship at Jerusalem. Then he started trying to make fun of him. He said, listen, he said, I'll tell you what, I'll give you 2,000 horses. I'll give you 2,000 horses for war. You got 2,000 men willing to fight? Trying to make fun of him. So he shows up to Jerusalem talking smack. Talking big smack. Then he tried to claim, your God sent me here to destroy this place. He said, your God sent me here. You see how Asatan lies? You see the extent to which he will go to play with y'all? And what was he doing? He was trying to make the people scared. He was trying to make the people scared and cause them to not trust their God. Right? That's what he was doing. That's what he was trying to do. So he started lying. He said, your God sent me here. I don't know why you're following this cult religion. Doesn't matter what color Jesus is. He loves all of us. I eat pork and I'm okay, and Jesus loves me still. The lies, man. Trust the Most High. So now, right? Look. So now, Rabshakeh popping his mouth off. He talking big smack. I could see Rabshakeh was a black man. There's no question. He talking big mess. He up there on his horse talking mess. And what happened now, he was at Jerusalem, and the people that are sitting on the wall are watching him. And the king told them, don't say nothing to him. And he sent out these men as ambassadors. They could speak more than one language. They could speak the Assyrian language, and they came out to speak to him in Assyrian. But he could also speak Hebrew, and he wanted the people on the wall to be scared. So he started talking in lay language. Watch, look, Isaiah chapter 36. I'm gonna read from verse 11. From verse 11. Read from verse 11 down to verse 16. Okay, he gonna get nasty now. Watch this. He gonna get nasty now. Rabshakeh getting ready to get nasty. Okay. Then said Eliakim and Sheba and Joah unto Rabshakeh, speak, I pray thee, unto thy servants in the Syrian language, for we understand it, and speak not to us in the Jews' language, in the ears of the people that are on the wall. But Rabshakeh said, hath my master sent me to thy master, to thee, to speak these words? Hath not he sent me to the men that sit upon the wall, that they may eat their own dung and drink their own piss with you? He's talking big mess. Then Rabshakeh stood and cried with a loud voice in the Jews' language and said, hear ye the words of the great king, the king of Assyria. Thus saith the king, let not Hezekiah deceive you, for he shall not be able to deliver you. Neither let Hezekiah make you trust in Yahweh, saying, Yahweh will surely deliver us. This city shall not be delivered into it shall not be delivered into the hand of the king of Assyria. Hearken not to Hezekiah, for thus saith the king of Assyria, make an agreement with me by a present, and come out to me, and eat ye every one of his vine, every one of his fig tree, and drink ye every one the waters of his own cistern. He's trying to make a deal. He's trying to talk directly to the people. He's hoping the people trusting in Hezekiah. People know Hezekiah was their king, but they trusted in Yahweh. Okay, they trusted in Yahweh. But he's like, don't believe Hezekiah. He said, he gonna cause you to eat your own dung and drink your own piss. I didn't just say that to be nasty. The scripture said it, right? He said they're gonna eat their own dung and drink their own piss. What does that mean? It's literal. Why do I say that? What that means, brothers and sisters, is they would cut off the cities so that no food can be brought in. And then eventually the cities would eat all the food they had within there. See, we're dealing with that now with this coronavirus a little bit. Imagine if the supermarkets, remember a couple of weeks ago when they were cleaning out all the supermarkets and there was no food there? Imagine if there was no food coming. So all that you got is what you stacked up in your house, and eventually that's going to be gone, right? So the armies would wait for months. They just wait there, and they would block anybody from coming in and block anybody from coming out unless you were coming out to surrender. And they let you starve to death in the city. See, the city had a wall. Jerusalem had, like most cities, had four walls, had gates, and it was locked and it was guarded. So they want to try to make you starve to death. Sometimes they even try to cut off the water supply. If there was like rivers flowing in there, they would try to cut off the water supply, make you starve to death. And so people would get real skinny and they would try to hold out, and they end up doo-dooing and then eating it and then peeing and then drinking it. That's why he said that. That's why he said that. He said they're going to cause you to eat your own dung and drink your own piss. You listening to them. That's right. Or started eating each other. That's exactly right. They would get desperate. They would get delirious. And they would have them waiting for months. He'd sit out there for weeks at a time because they had food coming to them. They'd have supplies being brought to them, and they would sit out there and they encamp the city and they would get the food. So they were waiting. That's how they did it. And so that's what he was doing here. He had the city surrounded, and he said, y'all better just give up. He said, because you're going to be starving to death in there. He's not going to be able to help you. Nobody's coming from Egypt to deliver you. Okay? Nobody's coming to deliver you. He said, come on out here and I'll take care of you. You'll get your food, you'll get water, you'll get figs, you'll get your vines. Come on out. That's what he's trying to say. Come on out. Don't trust in what Hezekiah is saying. That's what he's saying. Isaiah chapter 36. Isaiah chapter 36. I'm going to start at verse 16 down to verse 20. Isaiah 36 from 16 to 20. Hearken not to Hezekiah, for thus saith the king of Assyria, make an agreement with me by a present. In other words, give me some money. Come out to me. Eat ye every one of his vine, every one of his fig tree. Drink ye every one of the waters of his own cistern until I come and take you away to a land like your own land. See, I'm going to take you away to my country. Everybody always say their country is the best, right? I'm going to take you to my country. It's better than yours. It's like yours, but it's better. A land of corn and wine, a land of bread and vineyards. Beware lest Hezekiah persuade you, saying, Yahweh will deliver us. Hath any of the gods of the nations delivered his land out of the hand of the king of Assyria? Where are the gods of Amath or Arphad? Where are the gods of the Seraphim? Where are the gods that delivered Samaria out of my hand? Who are they among all the gods of these lands that have delivered their land out of my hand, that Yahweh should deliver Jerusalem out of my hand? Talking big mess. Big mess. Brothers and sisters, this is where the kind of situation we're headed into. You're not going to have any money. You're not going to have any assets. They're going to take away whatever you have. And they're going to say, what you got now? Who's going to deliver you from our hands now? These are tests. This is a documented test for you and I. A documented test to help us understand what we're dealing with. Let's finish this chapter from verse 21 down to verse 22. This story goes on into chapter 37, actually, so we'll probably read it into that, okay? 21 and 22. But they held their peace and answered him not a word, for the king's commandment was, saying, answer him not. Then came Eliakim, the son of Hilkiah, which was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and Joah, the son of Asaph the recorder, to Hezekiah with their clothes rent, and told him the words of Rabshakeh. They were ashamed of the things that he said about them and about their God. Their toes were rent. They was like humbled, and they were ashamed of everything that this man was saying about their God. They were also offended. But it's okay. It's all good. It's all good. Let's see how Hezekiah responds to this. Isaiah chapter 37. We're not going to read the whole chapter 37, but we're going to read down to, let's see. Let's go from verse 1. Let's go from verse 1 down to verse 7. From verse 1 to 7, and we'll finish today's there. We'll start next week in chapter 37. And it came to pass when King Hezekiah heard it, that he rent his clothes and covered himself with sackcloth and went into the house of Yahweh. And he sent Eliakim, who was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and the elders of the priests covered with sackcloth unto Isaiah the prophet, the son of Amos. And they said unto him, thus saith Hezekiah, this day is a day of trouble and of rebuke and of blasphemy, for the children are come to the birth, and there is not strength to bring forth. It may be that Yahweh thy most high will hear the words of Rabshakeh, whom the king of Assyria had his master have sent to reproach the living most high, and will reprove the words which Yahweh thy most high have heard. Wherefore lift up thy prayer for the remnant that is left. So the servants of King Hezekiah came to Isaiah, and Isaiah said unto him, Thus shall ye say to your master, thus saith Yahweh, be not afraid of the words that thou hast heard, wherewith the servants of the king of Assyria have blasphemed me. Behold, I will send a blast upon him, and he shall hear a rumor, and return to his own land, and I will cause him to fall by the sword in his own land. So now you're in a trial. The Most High Spirit impresses you with his word in the trial from one of his prophets. And he's giving you assurance. At that moment, you don't have any assurance that what he says is going to come to pass. There's no sign, but he's giving you his word. It's very easy to say what the answer is at this point. We must trust his word, right? We must trust his word. And brothers and sisters, we're going to be tempted and tried on this point continually until we're sealed. Until we're sealed. Now, we're going to read the rest of this next week, but I think you and I know what's going to happen here. But you have to trust the word of the Most High. That's what this is about. It's about a test and a trust. It's about a test and a trust. And brothers and sisters, the tests are going to get harder. That's why they seem harder now. We're getting ready to be in a serious situation. And so the tests are going to be harder. It's going to be harder and harder, brothers and sisters. But the Most High, the master teacher, will not put you in any test that you can't pass. He already knows what he's dealing with. Remember that. He already knows what he's dealing with. He knows who his students are. He knows how to get you through the class and to pass the test. He knows how to do that. We just need to remember the first thing. That's the first thing we talked about today. If you don't remember nothing else, this is an exercise in teaching you and me how to trust our Father. It's an exercise in teaching you and me how to trust our Father. Don't trust our emotions. Trust what other men are saying. Trust what you're seeing. Trust the word of the Most High. This is our test to learn how to trust him. Will you trust him? We'll see. We'll see.